It's been a long time since I've actually done a tech video, and most of the stuff's recently been unboxing. Actually, recently, I say. I don't think I've done anything in like 4 months. But tomorrow I'm going to open something that's really cool. Unfortunately, it's not mine, but it's really cool, and this is sort of like penance for that, of like opening something extremely cool, but, you know, I should show you guys how to do something that's actually valid and you need to do or know about in your airsoft teching travels. This is sort of the right way and the wrong way to rethread a barrel nut. I guess we'll start with the wrong way. The wrong way usually involves having a steel. This is out of a delta ring, so we've got plenty of teeth on there. But it has to be steel, because the steel is harder than the aluminum on the gun. And if it was just aluminum, it wouldn't work well. It would probably gum up and destroy the threads. You could still destroy the threads even with steel. And you can just test that with like a neomagnet. You know, it's got some attraction. This is a cheap steel. There's not much magnetic attraction in it. So, but we know it's steel, so it's gonna cut that aluminum. And you can also try it with, like, say, a neomagnet. Here's a magnet of a G&G. Actually, no, not even. Wow. Wow. I even have a strong-ass magnet hanging around. Well, this thing. Everything's attracted to this. Oh, an amp high torque. I remember these. No, well. Low-quality steel. But still, we know it is steel. So what you're going to want to do is take some light oil. I'm using Hobby Lube from Woodland Scenics because I only work at a hobby store. Kind of put that on, around. Take everything off that you don't want to get nasty shavings on. Like if your gun's front wired, you know, take the wires and just kind of tuck them in there so they're out of the way of any sort of garbage. Maybe you want to put some tape in there, but no big deal. I took the dust cover door off because that's just going to get in the way. It is possible on some cheap guns and some older guns that you can actually crack the uppers on these. So I recommend keeping the gearbox in there just so you have some extra support inside. Otherwise, you put a thumb on that and push in and there's no support, that shit will crack right off. Alright, so put some lube on there. And if you're a typical airsofter tech who's just kind of works on guns every now and then, you probably have one of these shitty wrenches. You find them everywhere. Every every airsoft store tends to have these, and they're utter shit. And for the price you pay, from like 10 to 20 bucks, you could get something so much nicer just from Amazon. But basically, you want to make sure it lines up. And then these guys are actually splayed apart on this one because it's junk. But on most of them, it'll fit. And if you have the delta wrench, the delta ring intact, it'll help it hold it in there even better. So what you're gonna do, this is a G&P. They're notorious for not having the same threads as other airsoft guns. This is, I don't know, Classic Army, who knows? But it is the correct thread for airsoft threaded barrels. So let's say we're going to actually put a Noveski, Mad Bull Noveski. See, airsoft only. This is G&P. Try to put the barrel nut on. Not really working. Looks like someone tried to put something on there. That's why the threads are like completely. Yeah, let's move the light. Look at the threads are just kind of fucked. Kind of fucked. But you can do it. But this, is that steel? Maybe? No. So you'd probably ruin this too. I've seen people like crack these trying to get them onto like GMPs, Aries. So you have Aries up it right here. So Aries, you know, that'll mean your amoebas as well. But they don't thread on. But we got a G&G. Goes right on. It'll go right on a Classic Army as well. Of course, at Mad Bull uppers, it'll go right on. So, but mostly you're going to see this on people putting Mad Bull rails on G&P bodies. That seems to be the trend that people like to do. They like to get the G&P bodies off e-bike and then the Mad Bull rail and, you know, try to attach and then run into trouble. And if they don't mess everything up, I can actually fix the issue. So there's still threads. So this guy, see, doesn't thread all the way on. Somewhat, because it's lubricated. But what you would do, and also someone's also tried to thread a rail on this before, get your nuts on there, drag it around, go back and forth a little bit, take it off, clean it off, clean off your debris, whatnot. You know, test the fit of the piece you're trying to put on. Still no. So this is actually a bad example of a nut, because I think this one I could actually just with lubrication thread on. So it's just not made to a good spec, or it's made to a spec where it'll fit on almost anything. Yeah, I think I could get that on with a real wrench. At least almost all the way on. But still, that doesn't help us. So if you have a steel delta ring that doesn't quite fit on, fits on like what the barrel nut you're trying to put on, you could use that. You could also use a nice Tapco wrench where you can engage all the splines so you can get more torque, and it's all your torque is evenly applied on the teeth. So that is so much better than just right there. So that'll give you better results as well. But like I said, this is the wrong way to do it. The right way to do it, let's clean this off again, is to get one of the Mad Bull taps. Oh, wait, that's a die. Get one of the Mad Bull dies. You could probably even get it overseas. It's a metric M31 by 8 by 1.5. And it's knurled. If you're a hardcore dude, you could probably twist it on there and get it to freaking work. But most of us humans, you take 1/4 inch. This is just a regular 1/4 inch bolt, and I got one that's it's got 5 inches of bare section on it. And you just kind of thread that in. Just a little bit. You don't have a ton of room. You don't want to go within the path of this, then you'll completely destroy the threads. And then what I do is I take, that's why I have this nut here, I use it as a jam nut. So, just kind of move that guy out because I don't want it to impinge. I'm cutting threads. And just take some sort of wrench, like this one, and tighten it down against that. Same deal, the other side. This will give you something to hold on to. You can get shorter ones, but this will give you better leverage and less fatigue, as you get better leverage and you'll get better results. But the jam nuts help so you don't accidentally put your 1/4 inch, and it is actually 1/4 inch, it's not a metric size to go in there. So the next step, this is actually the regular version. There's a Pro version. Not sure what differentiates between the Pro and the standard version. Maybe the Pro is heat treated, but it looks like it's heat treated inside. Maybe they heat treat the whole thing. Who knows? All right. So we're gonna grab that hobby lube again, if I can find where I tossed it. That's awesome. There it is. Safely put out of the way. If you've ever seen someone use a die on something, same basic rules apply. And it's clockwise. like a lot of things in Airsoft, this is not counterclockwise, it's clockwise. And you put the bigger end onto it. There's a end with the taper of how it's going to, how the threads are going to be finished. You know, the 31 by 8 by 1.5. That's what the threads are going to finish as, and on the other end, the cutting threads are bigger, so they can fit onto what you're trying to thread. And the trick is getting it started, because the Airsoft guns have these interrupted threads right there. Most guns have that, where they're not threaded completely 360. So you need to make sure you're starting the threads where you're supposed to be. So you kind of hear that cutting a little bit. Make sure we're level, because we don't want to cross thread, because you can easily cross thread this, and that would be bad. Now that looks like we're nice and level. So we're going to go on for a little bit, maybe a half, maybe a quarter, turn back, and then clean off the threads. I don't know if this is the proper way of doing it. I mean, I could look at the manual, but this is the way I was taught when I was taught about doing it on cars, when you had to re-tap a hole or use a die on a stud or something on a car. But you know, we can put that to use. We can actually see if you can just go the more than quarter-inch unscrew, and then actually it goes on much nicer now. And like I said, it works better when you have a gearbox inside of the whole receiver, you know, the pins and everything in. You're less apt to break something. If you had a bench vise, would also help, but the bench vise is in the back, the lighting is poor, so we're not going to go there. So we're going to go back to clear the threads. See, it's got these little spots there. The shavings clear into those. But with an air gun, you could just blow them out. But like I said, I'm not a machinist. I'm just a guy that fixes airsoft guns and computers and whatever. But not a machinist. Alright, so we're getting some resistance. Let's go back. Ooh. We got quite a bit of resistance. This is going to require some thigh. There we go. You could always wedge it in between your thighs. Just make sure your cell phone's not around. You don't want to squish that shit, and a broken screen to fix in addition to this. So you can see we got some... I got some focus. Maybe if I get the light just kind of right, you can get some... You can see some of the... starting to get shiny. Some of the peaks are getting knocked off. And you got some shiny metal in there. Same deal with this guy. You can see, oops, you can see some of the swarf in there. Swarf, I guess that is the technical term for that. So just kind of clean that out, so we don't want that to get in the grooves and get damage. So I'll just clean this guy off again. Just a little bit of oil. They sell specialty cutting oil for this. I don't know if it's better or worse. Well, obviously it'd be better, but I didn't have any. And I'm not going to go buy a can of cutting oil. I think it only needs the light oil. Alright. Pull this light back over a little bit. So let's use the thigh vise again. Oh, okay. Oh, this is going to be interesting footage, but thigh vise is working out pretty well. So if you have a bench vise or putting it in between your legs, that works a lot better than just trying to free hold it with one hand and spin with the other. So we're off. You can see it's cleared some more. Some more threads. So you know what? While we're here, let's wipe it off. and see if this barrel nut goes down anymore. Yeah, it does. It's on there better. Oh, I must drop it on the floor. Alright. Let's put a little oil in that guy. In years past, I used to do the Delta ring one, and it was a complete pain in the ass. Or using a URX1 style barrel nut, and those had tons of holes in it on the UX1, and a lot of the Airsoft ones were steel, so you could rethread something with that. So if you stuck a big wrench, like one of these guys in there, and used the pins, it would win out against your aluminum receiver. But you see, we're going on more smooth. And let's put this down again and see what we can manage here. I can feel it cutting good. Just kind of back off. I don't know if you want photos of my. Yeah, look at that. Oh, it's just like Xtube or Pornhub. But we're just threading. It just happens to be in my lap because it's easier. And as you use the threading tool, it gets easier and easier as it goes down, because it's just the way it works. It's making the top smaller. There's oil there. It gets easier for it to find its place on top there too. So it won't cross thread. See, much smoother going on now. How far am I down? Pretty far down. So I'm just going to go back, forth a little bit, just cut slowly. Again, this is something a bench vise meant for a gun would probably be ideal for. Also, what you don't want to do with all the garbage hanging off the front of the gun. You know, if you had your outer barrel on there, this would be a complete pain in the ass. So this is the manual it comes with. I wonder if I'm doing it the wrong way. Just look. Leave a look and laugh. I have to distinguish front side, rear side, blah blah blah. If you have oh, it's asking, saying measure with vernier calipers and shit. Once you turn the front side all the way down, take out the tool adapter, turning clockwise and repeat on the rear side. Alright. So, to get it to be the final dimension, you have to flip the tool over. So, we may be running into an issue here where we're kind of bottoming out on the threads that we need to flip over. So I don't think it's going to go anymore. Alright, just clean this off. Make sure our nuts are still good. Clean that off. Some of this on there. And that's sort of the trick of using the Delta ring to do it. It's going to be the correct length. You know, using this guy. that's going to be the same diameter all the way, where this is tapered to cut properly, whereas this is just using sort of brute force to change its shape. Alright, so let's get all these little chips out of here. This would be easier if I had a little can of air duster, or was near the air compressor, which is also in the back room. Alright, we got a little lube on there. So in theory this should thread on like a regular barrel nut. Yep, there we go. So now we're going with the opposite end, which it said is the finishing touch with this guy. So that'll thread, or clean the threads, or adjust the threads, make the threads into the correct size. And we still got a little bit to go. Let's just go back so I can kind of clean some swarf out of there. Like I said, not a machinist, don't know the proper way to do this. It's just pretty much shown how to do a die on a stud on a car years ago, so that's all I know. I do know you don't want to get the swarf in there because it binds up your die. Oh, am I bottoming out? Almost. Oh, wow. Look at that. Let's so you can see all the crud that's coming off now from doing it the other way. Let's kind of wipe that off. Back to some interesting crotch shots here. Because I think I'm almost down. Okay, you can hear it in the final threads. Let's drop some oil in there. And a little tough because this last little bit, this more tapered end, wasn't able to get to. That's why you're using the, I guess, the finishing end. Oh, that's just the sound of the vinyl seat. But we're almost there. Let's undo. Clean off any crap. See how we're doing. Yeah, got quite a lot of swarf and other garbage on there. Oh, the screw's getting loose. You want the jam nut. Alright, so you can see the threads. A lot shinier, they've been reprofiled. All that gunk there. This isn't the best camera work because I don't have the camera in the usual spot and I had to use my legs. Or my thighs. So you can see down here we still have to reprofile the ones where it's still painted. Alright, so let's put some oil on there. Just kind of right there, and right there. And hopefully this will be our last pass, and then we can try threading that Noveski nut on there. So we're going to use, again, the finish side, the side that is the penultimate diameter we want. And it goes on pretty easy. till we get near the bottom. And so I guess this is what differentiates your real steel from your airsoft and certain airsoft makers from other airsoft, like the Merui spec and whatnot. Like the ICS is supposedly Merui spec, so rails don't fit well on ICS guns. But I never really had that problem. I put classic Army rails on ICS guns. I think it's just that the points in there, points in the ridges aren't as pronounced on the ICS. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they changed it, but I never really had that problem on my ICS M4. As right now, Classic Army, it's like an SPR, the fiberglass kit or carbon fiber kit. Still working on that. That's the squeak of the stool. Let's see how far we are. Pretty far in there. I don't know how far we have to thread to. May not matter. May not matter. We might be threading into the receiver, which is harder than redoing the threads. But this would take you forever doing it with delta. Or you ruin your barrel trying to put it on. As the aluminum might not be so yielding. Alright, let's move the camera over here. Back to the messy ass table. Alright. I didn't really prepare for this video. So, we got tons of crap on that. So I need to clean that off best we can. Wish I had the air compressor going, but it'd be loud. And it's in the other room. This guy, full of garbage. But this is ultimately what we want to go on this. So let's see if it works. What's going on? Do we need to thread more? Probably need to thread more. I was not given the instructions to this rail. Actually, if I take these guys out, yeah, we don't want to lose those. You can see where this rail lines up. Oh, that grease. I'm actually gonna have to like clean these jeans. Alright, so we need to go back a tiny bit more. If you look, if we use the flashlight and hold this still, you can see the holes there. Just need a tiny bit more threading. I mean, maybe if you brute force this thing on, but the name of this video is the right way and the wrong way to do things, so let's continue with the right way. Alright, yeah, you can still see some paint on there from the factory on this last sort of thread. Also brought to you by Arizona Iced Tea. Oh yeah, delicious Arizona iced tea. Okay. It goes on nice. Like I said, you should use a vise, or in this case we're using our thighs as the vise. Since this is the last time, I don't think I'm going to change the perspective. So I haven't been doing much tech videos, but I'll make some. Unboxing has become unprofitable. Well, unboxing mystery boxes, unfortunately. It seems like you can't get free shipping anymore with the mystery boxes, making them kind of cost prohibitive to resell, because then I pay more than I would pay if I was just to buy it outright without a mystery. And there's a lot of junk floating out there. You got those Echo and Igor VSS knockoffs, or SVSS, whatever the hell they are, knockoffs, and you got your the Elite Force KMP and KMP4, which no one wants. Those are remnants of that ill-fated Red Jacket association. Those were made by SRC, which I hate. It's like, you could make one nice-ish, but there's no reason. But you can get those cheap. They're like $100 for a full metal gun. Yeah. So if you're looking for a full metal gun for $100, it's a nicer aluminum than you'd find on a D-Boys or a JG body. We've got the new Classic Armies in. I like those. I'm going to be doing a review on those, review on the MOSFET. They actually did a good job on their MOSFET. And the original MOSFETs had an issue and they recalled them, and I was like, oh wow, that was proactive of them. And I can show, you know, why I like their MOSFETs versus just the regular sort of Crytek MOSFET versus, you know, home-built stuff. Well, you can build really nice home-built stuff for power wise. But some MOSFETs, like those cheap ASG sells them, they're just rebranded from JG or APS, I think. Those things are just utter shit. You should avoid those like the plague. Look at that, and we're done. Look at all that crap that we finally got off there. Everything smells like oil. Or hobby lube. Like I said, I'm sure there's a correct oil for cutting threads, but this seems to work. Alright. Let's put this guy on. It goes down further than before. And I realize I don't have the inner barrel on right now, but that was not the object of the exercise. Plus with the inner barrel, actually I can do it, but you can see now they line up. So let's see what this looks like. So let's take barrel nut off. Does it fit over that? Yes. Alright. Inner barrel in. This gun's getting rear wired, so worry not about the front wiring. And we may need to put a barrel shim or two on the barrel to make sure it's nice and tight or clocked in the correct position for these guys. But with this, what you do is you take your little AR wrench's little nub right here, or if you look on that, there's a horrible fucking piece of shit nub right there. And you just kind of grab one of these and tighten it. It's right in one of those holes. And tighten. So this needs to be, these need to be clocked at 90 degrees. So they need to be clocked at 3 and 9 and 6. Alright. So just pay attention to the clocking for where the screws are going. So we have, 3, 6, and 9. So we can line this up to 3, 6, and 9. Sometimes you'll need to put thread lock on there. I usually use blue because red is just being a dick to if anyone has to take it off in the future. Alright, so let's make this nice and tight and clocked to 3 and 6. Which I think that is. You could also tell by lining up the top. This is another one of the things when a bench vise comes in handy. Or you put a shim behind the barrel, between the barrel and the nut, so it kicks that over a little bit. But I guess that's for another video. This was more showing you how to correctly thread a non-standard barrel. This one almost lines up. It just needs, I think, a shim, barrel shim. Bam, done. And of course rewiring to the back for this gun. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing and subscribing and doing all the talking you do in the comments. I don't look at the comments since the video that gets the most comments is just like the most heated video out there. It's pretty ridiculous. What people are saying. So I don't really look at the comments, but I am on the Reddit subreddit Airsoft, so if you need to, you just post in there if you have a question, and there's plenty of guys in there that know the answer, so feel free to ask on there. Like I said, YouTube comments is just, that's like 7th layer of hell shit going on in there, so I'm sorry if I haven't responded to you. But anyway, tomorrow, pretty cool unboxing, and we'll leave it at that.